Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to the Fangirl Freaks Out Podcast. This is your host, Alyssa, and this is the first ever episode. So before I get started and jumping into this episode, I do want to give a quick intro to what this podcast is going to be. And I'm new to this, so bear with me as I figure things out. But essentially, what this podcast is a space for me to just talk about thoughts that I have in regards to things that I'm a fan of, and essentially fangirl over them. Most of these thoughts are things that like pop into my head randomly and keep me up at night. So I figure, why not just create a space where I can ramble on about them and talk about them and maybe get some input from other people. So yeah, that's essentially what this is. Quick disclaimer in regards to this podcast. These are all my opinions when it comes to the things that I am a fan of, because I know some topics that I am going to talk about are very touchy for some people, or people have a lot of opinions on them. These are my opinions, and I am entitled to my opinions just like you are entitled to yours. And I will respect your opinions as long as you respect mine. And that's essentially it on that. Oh, and also another thing about this is it will not be a spoiler-free podcast. Some of the things that I will be talking about, including today, are animes or shows that I'm a fan of. And I will be sure to give a spoiler warning. I'm not that type of person who's not going to give a spoiler warning. So I will make sure that you are aware, and will likely be like spoiler warning for example, like spoiler warning for the My Hero manga. And then I will count down from 3 to give people time to like click away if they don't want to be spoiled. If you are spoiled after that point, that is not on me, but on you, because I did give a warning. Yeah, so for this first episode, I figured just to get a feel for like what this will be, I would do like a little segment that I thought of called Let's Talk About It, where it's a variety of topics that I've thought about at times that don't necessarily, like, the thoughts aren't big enough, or like the topic isn't big enough to have its own episode, because I will have topics that will have their own episode, because I could go on and on about them. But yeah, that's essentially what this is. I think I covered everything in my little intro that I wanted to do before I jumped into this episode, but if I remember anything later, I will be sure to talk about it. As we go on with this podcast, or as I go on with this podcast, you will quickly learn that I'm scattered brain, and my thoughts like to jump around a lot. So I will likely be saying one thing and then jump to another, or I'll try to edit out all the like big spaces and silence as I'm talking, because there will be moments where I'm like quiet for a good 5 seconds because I'm trying to figure out where my thoughts are. But yeah, so for this first episode, let's talk about it. Things that I've thought of, and I'm just like, I need to talk about this. So the first thing I want to talk about in this episode is the Let It Shine movie from Disney. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the movie starring Coco Jones, who is very talented. Love her. She is so funny, like an amazing singer. She's just talented all around. But Coco Jones, Trevor Jackson, Brandon Michael Scott, and why am I spacing on his name right now? But yeah, essentially it's about this guy named Cyrus, who is Tyler James Williams. Okay, that's the he's played by Tyler James Williams. I'm like, how did I forget the actor who plays the main character? But a boy named Cyrus who wants to be a rapper, but like his dad, who's a pastor, doesn't approve of rap, and so he goes undercover, and like his friend from childhood, Roxy, is actually a big star, and she holds a competition to find the next big artist. And both him and his best friend Chris, which that's my reason for bringing this up, but Chris and Cyrus both enter this competition, and Cyrus ends up winning, but they think it's Chris who was the one and not Cyrus. I guess I could have done a spoiler warning for that, because I'm getting into the plot. But I mean, the movie is like years old. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. And I'm not really going too into detail with it right now that you couldn't, you could watch it and then it be spoiled for you. But yeah, so that movie, can I just say, that movie is like one of my favorite Disney movies, like the live action, like Disney original movies or whatever, Disney Channel original movies. But yeah, no, like that is one of the best and one of my favorite Disney movies. And it's so good. I love it. The storytelling is great, and like the dynamics and aspects of it, the family dynamic of like growing up in a church, and especially too, like they do a good job of like showing what it's like to like grow up in like a black church and stuff like that. And that's another thing about this movie. We don't get a lot of representation of like people of color in movies, especially Disney movies. And as a person of color myself, for those who don't know me, I am mixed. I am Mexican and black. But yeah, so as a black woman, it was nice, especially as a black child, it was nice to see people who look like me on the screen. But anyway, back to my reasoning for bringing this up. But not only is like the movie good and the acting and everything in it good, in my opinion, but the soundtrack, I could jam out to that soundtrack any time of day. Like, I live for it. Not only are like the songs, like the raps or whatever for the performances great, but like even the songs that they sing in the church, like that first opening number, Joyful Noise, like it don't have to be Sunday and I will play that song and just jam out to it, because it is such a good song. And then the song where Roxy visits, Good to Be Home. I don't know if that's the title of the song, but like I know that's what she says. So good to be home, home, home. Anyway, that song, I love it. That's a good moment. Although I'm not gonna lie, in the movie, in the plot, when Cyrus's dad essentially calls out Roxy in front of the entire, like, I forget the word for it. It's like congregation or something like that. Whatever. The people at the service. Yeah, that was wrong. He was so wrong for that. And I'm here for Cyrus's mom making him sleep on the couch, because, sir, you deserve that. Like, why are you picking on a child? What was the reason? You're supposed to be a man of God and you over here, hello? Like, anyway. But no, my main reasoning, though, for bringing up this movie, not only to, like, talk about how much I love the movie and how good it is, but also the thing that I thought of the other night that made me really, like, when I was thinking about this movie, I was like, hold on a second. If you really think about it, Chris is supposed to be Cyrus's best friend, right? Then how come this fool, after realizing, and you can tell that he realizes early on that Cyrus likes Roxy, like, how come this fool still sat there and went on with this lie, like, that he was true? Like, no, I'm like, you're not. If, like, you're supposed to be my best friend and you can see that I clearly like her, and you still, no, like, he is, to be fair, like, in my opinion, Chris ain't a real homie. Like, no homie would do that to you. Like, and the thing is, and it's not even like Chris likes Roxy. Or, yeah, like, he knows that Cyrus likes Roxy, and yet he's just like, no, I'm trying to be a player. I'm trying to get with different girls. I'm trying to meet different girls. And so I want to keep pretending that I'm true. Meanwhile, I'm like, not only are you now playing with Cyrus's chances of getting with Roxy, but you're also playing with Roxy's feelings, because Cyrus, who's writing all the music and recording it, or is like writing and singing and talking about his feelings for Roxy, but Roxy now thinks it's Chris who is writing these songs for her. So now she's thinking that Chris likes her. Whole time Chris is trying to be a player, has no feelings towards Roxy. And I think he, like, barely does in the beginning, but, like, not really, because he knows that Cyrus likes her. But that's, like, it's just the thought. I'm like, Chris, if you knew that your homeboy was feeling for this girl and he's sitting here and like trying to show her that that he likes her through his music, like, why are you taking that away from them? And you're now playing with two people's feelings just so you can go off and get with different girls? What? Like, no, you're not a real homie for that. Like, that was just that part. Like, and I get it. Like, I get that they had to do that for like storytelling and the like just the movie to get it to move along or whatnot. And like, I get that, especially too because I went to school for narrative filmmaking, so like I understand like the process of like how to tell a story. But like, just like Cyrus's boss said, like, how can you both sit here under the name True when you're both living a lie? And it's like, facts, you're speaking the truth. And yeah, I don't know. And then too, like, about it, the whole thing of like Chris is using the opportunity to like meet girls or whatever. It's like, sir, just be his right hand man. Like, just, he was gonna bring you along with him on this journey anyway. Like, y'all are best friends. Like, even whether or not it was you or like as True or Cyrus as True, like, you would likely be right there for the whole process, just like Cyrus is with you the entire process. And you would have been able to meet girls that way. Now, granted, there is the possibility that people are like trying to be around you, be with you just to get closer to him. But yeah, no, like, but yeah, I don't know where that thought was going, but like, essentially, yeah, like, there's a chance that people are trying to get to you just to get to them, but that doesn't mean like you still don't like won't have a chance to like meet people, you know. But yeah, no, I just think that if you really think about it, Chris wasn't a real homie in that movie, and that kind of sucks when you think about it. But I'm happy everything worked out in the end. And then the whole thing about like, oh, he had the looks but I didn't, like, in that last song. But yeah, no. And oh yeah, you can tell, like I said, my brain is scattered all over the place. But so to go back to what I was saying earlier about like, you can tell that Chris knew early on how Cyrus truly felt about Roxy. Like, I don't know if he ever really heard the first song, the Don't Run Away from the Truth song, until like the music video moment. But like, it was very early on through like the movie when they were in the studio already trying to make new music, and Chris was sitting there hiding while Cyrus, who hid his face so Roxy couldn't see him, standing at the mic, getting ready to sing. He was sitting there, Chris, in the studio watching as Cyrus pulled this song out of thin air, singing about his feelings to Roxy, directly to her. Granted, she didn't know that it was Cyrus and thought it was Chris, but yeah. And if you don't know what song I'm talking about, it's like, baby, you belong with me, oh, you're the passion in my life. I don't even know if those are the words, but that song, which I love that song. Anyway, yeah, like, that was the moment when Chris clearly could see that Cyrus had feelings, and yet he still went on with his charade. So, but yeah, my favorite songs, before I get off this topic, because I'm essentially done with the thought, but my favorite songs from that soundtrack though is Me and You and Guardian Angel. Anyway, so that was the first little let's talk about it thing. The next thing I want to bring up are all related to My Hero Academia, because that anime has taken over my life and I freaking love it so much. And yeah, that is the center of my life right now. So okay, so I do want to give a quick spoiler warning before I start talking about the next 3 mini topics, because I will likely be slipping in manga spoilers, because I do not only watch the anime but also read the manga, and I'm caught up on both. So just to be safe, I am gonna give a spoiler warning now. I think the first two mini topics that I'm gonna bring up don't have too big of spoilers. Anyway, but just spoiler warning for the My Hero Academia manga for those who like really care. So starting in 3, 2, 1. Okay, now that that's over with, the first thing I want to talk about is Deku's dad, Hisashi. Now, we've been told from the beginning that this fool is off in America, right? For work or whatever. Like, he had to leave Japan to go to America for work. And we have yet to see what he looks like. And apparently, Horikoshi has said that we will see him at some point. And I'm just like, was thinking the other night, I'm like, wait a second. Wait a minute. Hold up. How come he didn't take Inko and Izu with him? Like, why did he just leave his wife and kid in Japan? I'm like, is this the, oh, my dad left to get milk or cigarettes, like, scenario in here? Like, oh, yeah, my dad just he had to leave for America for work. It's like, why didn't you take your family with you, sir? Hello? Like, that just, I don't know. I'm like, clearly it's for like some element of character development that his dad isn't around. And I mean, then too, we get Dad Zawa, Dad Might, like we get those father figures in Izu's life, which is great. Oh, which by the way, like, I will be referring to a lot of the characters going forward by their first names or nicknames. I switch it up. That's just the way I talk about them. Like, when I tell you that my life is surrounded or not surrounded, but like revolves around this anime, this series, yeah, it's sad. But yeah, no, I was like just thinking about that the other night. Like, why didn't he just take them with him? Like, I get that would defeat the purpose of the whole show, and like then that would mean that Izuku wouldn't be in Japan, so he wouldn't get to meet All Might, or like him and Bakugo's friendship would have never been, like, their whole like dynamic and relationship wouldn't have happened or whatever. But it's like, sir, take your family with you. That just doesn't make sense to me that you wouldn't, but I guess it is what it is. But yeah, no, that was just something I thought about the other night. Like, why didn't he just take his family with him? Why did he just up and leave without him? And then you made Inko, bless her heart, bless her soul, raise this child on her own. And like, the whole reason why, because we all see like Inko in the beginning when like Izu's so small and his precious self. I love baby Izuku. He's so adorable. Anyway, that's besides the point. But like, we all see how like in the beginning, like Inko was tall and like slender. And then as he grows older, we see that now Inko's like a little bit more rounder, which is fine. Like, it doesn't matter like what size, shape you are. Like, you are beautiful at the end of the day. And the reason why her character design switched that way was to show like the struggles she went through with having to raise a child on her own, and like how she wasn't able to take care of herself. And I there's no video to this, so you can't see my hand motions, but I am putting quotes around that because it's like, it's just the symbolism of the sacrifices she had to make as a mother, a single mother at that, raising her child. And I'm just like, how are you still, because anytime they talk about Hisashi, Midoriya, they're like, oh yeah, my husband, and it's just like, how are y'all still married? Like, I'm sorry, this guy's been away for how long? Like 16 years, and y'all are still married? That's dedication. That's loyalty. Like, anyway. And then too, And I didn't give a spoiler for like the movies, but I have seen both the movies as well for this series, and like, doesn't Deku go to America? I would have been sitting there like, oh my god, let me reach out to my dad and like trying to meet up or something, you know, even though like we don't really have a relationship. Also too, like, yeah, that's never established either, like whether or not they still talk or not outside of things, but I highly doubt they do. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah. But I would like to hear other people's opinions though on like what they think about that. Like, why didn't he take his family with him to America? It's like, that just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah. Next thing I want to talk about from My Hero Academia is what in the world happened to the UA traitor situation. Can we talk about that, please? Like it literally was brought up maybe twice. I know for a fact once. It was brought up once in the anime early on. I want to say season 2 or 3, but I'm not even 100% sure. But it was brought up once. And then like now you got the whole fandom sitting here speculating on who's the UA traitor and stuff. And yet it never gets brought up again. It's almost like Horikoshi forgot that he even said like, oh, what if there's a traitor feeding the villains information about UA? And then too, as a manga reader, I can confirm that there's still no talk about a UA traitor. We still haven't had any more information on like the possibilities of a UA traitor. And not only that, so this is a big spoiler warning for like the most recent chapters. I want to say chapter 306 to like 310, because that's how, at the time of recording this, that is the latest chapter that's out. So manga spoilers for those chapters. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm gonna talk about it now. When not only that, but like when after the war arc, after Izuku leaves UA and all that, they move the parents onto UA campus, which then, when you think about it, makes no sense, because it's like, first of all, you already are like concerned about there being a traitor on the UA campus amongst the staff, amongst the students or whatever. You're already concerned about that. And now you bring in a whole bunch of other people who could possibly have connection to villains and be feeding them information. Like, hello? That doesn't make sense. Like, why would you... Like, I get why they did it, because UA is the safest place in Japan, or their area of Japan. I don't remember what area in Japan it is. But UA is the safest place. Like, no, it's not. Why are you lying to yourself and these parents? Like, y'all have been attacked twice by villains. Y'all have like the worst. And then too, there might be a traitor, which we have yet to hear you guys discuss more about, other than that one time. So like, what happened there? Horikoshi, I need answers. But yeah, anyway, like, what do y'all think happened to the UA traitor situation? Or who do you think is the UA traitor? Personally, I can't really give an opinion on who I think. I love the thought that like it's just one of the students like posting on social media, and like Toga or like one of the villains like follows them on like Snapchat or something, and like that's how they're getting their information. Like, that's hilarious to me. I love that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know who I would say though is the traitor, if there is one. We don't even know, because it's been forgotten about. The last thing I want to talk about, which this can get like a bit more complicated and controversial, kind of, not really controversial, but like, this is where the disclaimer of these are all my opinions, and this is just my thoughts on things, and just I ask that you respect my opinions. I will respect yours, and we are all entitled to our opinions. Nothing I say is fact. So yeah, essentially what I want to talk about, and honestly this could have probably been like a whole episode on its own, but at the same time, I don't know, I feel like I could talk about it a lot, but like at the same time not. And this will have probably the most spoiler warnings, just because like I will have to get into like things that have been discussed in the manga that haven't been featured in the anime yet. But Endeavor, let's talk about him for a second. Let's talk about it. I know a lot of people hate this man because of like how like just the pain and trauma and just how abusive he was to his family. And I get that, because I too like really dislike Endeavor for that. But also I'm the type of person who's like, if I can see that you are trying, like I will respect that. So like I have a love-hate relationship with Endeavor, essentially, is what I'm saying here. Like I can acknowledge and admire the fact that like now that he's, especially like during the whole internship arc where Shoto, Katsuki, and Izuku intern with Endeavor, like we see a bit more the Todoroki family dynamic and how Endeavor's like, I know I don't deserve to be forgiven. Like I just want to tell you guys, like I am sorry. Like I see now how horrible I was. Granted, he doesn't fully realize the extent of his actions until later on, after chapter 290, I think it is, when, spoilers, Dabi is revealed to be Toya. But yeah, no, like he acknowledges the fact that he messed up, and like I'm happy that he acknowledges that and can see that now and can work towards fixing the mess that he's created. And then too, like that moment after like the whole family dinner, like when Bakugo and Midoriya have dinner at the Todoroki household, and Endeavor's like, you know what, like I think I might take your mom out the hospital and like give, and as he's talking to Fuyumi about this, and like give them the family life that they always wanted and deserved. But he's going to remove himself from, like he's gonna, actually no, he's not removing himself from the house. Like he's staying in their like old house and is gonna get them their like a whole new house, so that they can like, one, get out of the house where all of the horrible past was, and two, like start anew, start fresh. And I'm like, I admire that. Like I'm happy that now you're not going to be the big flaming trash bag of a man that you once were. But, and it's a big but, I cannot forgive him or forgive his action for what he did to his family as a whole. Like not only is it like messed up, and I have more choice words that I would like to say, but for the start of like the first few episodes, I think I'm going to try to keep it more PG with my language. But it's really messed up how he treated Shoto. Like that was messed up. Keeping him from his siblings, like not allowing him any like life outside of training, essentially. And now we see how that affected Shoto's like social abilities with others now his age. And not only that, but like the treatment of his wife. But like when I forget what the chapter episodes or the chapter numbers are, but like in the manga too, when like we get to see like way more info on like the background of the Todoroki family, it's like it's sad to see, because like Ray and Endeavor, granted like it was a quirk marriage and like an arranged marriage, so like they didn't even get married out of love, but like we can see that like they somewhat got along in the beginning, and then things just went downhill. And I'm just like, all because like Endeavor's goal to be All Might or whatever, and it's just like it's sad to see. And like the crap that he put Ray through as well, and like not only that, but like also too, the way he went about telling Toya like, no, like you should focus on being a kid, like you should not be, which I'm like, where was that mindset when you were dealing with Shoto? But anyway, like he was essentially trying to tell him like, yeah, it's okay to train every now and then, but don't overwork yourself. Like focus on just being a kid right now and having fun, spending time with your siblings or friends or whatever. And of course that like completely is non-existent when it comes to Shoto for some reason. I mean, we know the reason, but it's just, yeah. But like the way he was like, you can never surpass All Might, like you're weak and whatever, or failures. It's like, dude, no, that's not how you talk to children. That's not how you go about that. And yeah, I loved Ray though when she was like, oh, like, you don't, I forget how she said it, but she was so, like, her reply though was like low-key sassy, and I'm here for that. Like, oh, you're just now realizing how bad, like, yes, Ray, tell him about tell the flaming hot Cheeto just how horrible he was. Because like I don't think he fully gets it. And then too, now you got like a child who's a villain killing people because of the crap you put him through. So yeah, I'm like, the fact that like, no, but can we talk about the one chapter for the manga readers who are still listening? The one chapter though where like Fuyumi is holding, I'm gonna cry thinking about it, where Fuyumi is holding Natsuo, and they're like, because Endeavor's yelling and being the abusive piece of garbage, flaming hot garbage that he is, where they're like she's just holding him and they're off to the side, all because Shoto wanted to play with his siblings. Like, that's just normal kid behavior, and you're gonna yell and get mad at your children because they want to play. Like, what? Like like that's what broke me, because I'm not gonna lie, for a little bit when we first got a bit of Endeavor's redemption arc, I'm such an empath, and like I'm also a pushover and quick to be like forgive a lot of times, which is like one of my biggest flaws. And when I started to see like Endeavor recognizing and trying to change and stuff, I was like, okay, like he's not such a bad guy, you know, which is a lie. Like, he still is, like his actions were still like very wrong. But like when I saw that chapter broke me, and it reminded me just how like horrible he was in the past. And I was like, you know what, Endeavor, Enji Todoroki, you do not forget, or you do not deserve forgiveness. Not from me, not from your family, not from anybody. But I can see though, like how some people can like him and admire him to some extent, but I'm like, nah, you are still a piece of garbage. That's all I can, like, that's the easiest way I can describe it. And I'm saying this because I know, like, and this will be like a later episode where I'll talk about like my top 5 heroes, villains, like, because picking a top 5 My Hero Academia characters overall is like the hardest thing for me to do. So like I create subcategories. That's going to be its own episode on its own. But I was talking with my brother about that the other day, and like Endeavor's in his top 5. I don't remember where he places on his list, but his top 5 of pro heroes. And I'm just like, why? How? Because like I said, like when you acknowledge his past and his treatment of his family, it's like, it's horrible. But then like when we got to his redemption arc, I was like, okay, I can kind of see it, but at the same time, like, I don't know. But yeah, no. So that's essentially how I feel about Endeavor. I have a love-hate relationship with that man. If you were to ask me if I would fight him given the chance, the answer is going to be yes. I would throw hands if given the chance. I would probably lose, considering he is the number 1 hero, and I am a 5-foot little weakling, but still, I would, if I was given the chance, I would still be down to throw hands. Like, how dare you treat them children like that? How dare you treat your wife like that? Like, how dare you, sir? Let kids be kids. But yeah. So I think that concludes this episode of Fangirl Freaks Out. I would love to hear what you all thought about it, and if you guys have any ideas or topics you would love me to talk about in the future. I do have a few ideas already planned out for the next few episodes, but like I'm still open to feedback and just hearing what you guys think. So how often I will be recording these, I don't know. I really don't. But yeah, next episode though, I will likely talk more about My Hero Academia, because that is like the topic of a lot of that is like the overall like thing regarding most of my topics, because like I said, I love that show and it's taken over my life at the moment. So yeah, but that concludes this episode of the Fangirl Freaks Out podcast. So see you guys next time. Peace.